Hello to all my caregivers and family. Welcome back. I'm Tezzy Gilbert Baldwin with OMG I'm a Caregiver. And today we have a very special guest, Shanoa. I'm saying your
Shauna.
Shauna. I'm so sorry. Shauna
Yeah.
with Chefs for Seniors is with us today, and she's going to talk to us about her business. She's going to explain the who, what, when, where, why, and how. And I met Shauna at a networking event and was completely impressed by her business. One, I didn't know such a thing existed. I am so used to hearing about meal prep and meal service for non-seniors. I did not know there was such a thing. And when she told us about what she does, I'm like, you're kidding. Like, that's a real thing. Like, you actually meal prep and you do it for seniors. You can cater the meal to dietary restrictions, medication like what? So I'm like, you got to be on my show. So welcome.
Thank you, Tezzy. I'm glad to be here.
So tell us how you got, like, what made you even want to get into this business?
Well, it's definitely been a long journey. So I am you've heard of preacher's kids. Well, I'm a restaurant kid. Uh my dad opened his first restaurant when I was 2, and he put me to work when I was 11.
Wow.
So I grew up in the restaurant business, but when I turned 18, graduated from high school, I got my first internship in corporate America. I told my dad, "See ya. I'm not coming back to this world." And went on, had a career in corporate America. Went to law school, became a practicing attorney.
Wow.
I still do that, but that's my side gig, not my main gig.
Wow.
And
We can talk about that a little bit.
yeah. And so I was in a rut. I had spent all of my career in Georgia, and 12 years ago, I moved back here, originally from Houston. Was in a rut, wanted to do something a little different, wasn't sure what.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to figure things out. I asked my dad to let me help him manage his restaurant. He still had one left. Um,
Okay.
and it was always on my bucket list to go to culinary school. When I lived in Savannah and I practiced law, one of my mentors was a chef, or is a chef, and I took numerous cooking classes from him, and just rediscovered my love for cooking. And so when I came back here and was helping out my dad, I enrolled at San Jacinto College in their culinary program.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And when I was in culinary school, found out about Chefs for Seniors, but they weren't franchising yet. And
Oh.
months after I finished culinary school, I checked their website again. I found out they were franchising. I filled out the form, and that was 6 years ago, and the rest is history.
Wow. So Chefs for Seniors is a French. I never knew that.
Yes. So it's a national franchise. They've been in business since 2013. They started
Wow.
franchising at the end of 2017. So I was one of their early franchise owners.
Okay. Do you know about how many states it stretches across?
Uh, 30, I think it's 33 states,
Okay.
88 franchises, and
Wow.
since we um don't quote me on this statistic, but I just went to our franchise conference. I want to say it's 500,000 meals in 7 years.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow. That's impressive.
mhm.
And all seniors. So that's so impressive. And that's so good. That literally makes my heart sing. One, like I said, I never even knew this was even a thing, right? So meal prepping for seniors. I've I work in the skilled nursing industry, and I've just seen over the years families bring food, prep food at home when they have, special restrictions. Maybe they don't want them eating the food inside of the centers. I've seen them meal prep personally, right?
Right.
But never a company
Yeah.
for specifically for seniors. And so, can you talk a little bit about meal prepping based on restrictions? How do you do that? What's the process?
Okay. So the process is whenever someone signs up for our service, I'm going to ask them some questions. about their eating habits. I'll ask them whether or not they have any dietary restrictions. There's a 7-page food profile that
Mhm.
I have them complete, and so it goes through just about every major food, all the food groups, their meats, their vegetables, spices,
Mhm.
condiments,
Mhm.
all of that, and just ask them whether how much whether they love it, they like it, they're willing to try, or no thanks.
Okay.
And in that way, we begin to build a food profile for our clients. And then, of course, I marry that with their dietary restrictions. And even if I have several seniors say, "Well, we don't have any restrictions," and but I'll still ask them, "Hey, are you trying to eat a low sodium diet? Are you having,
Mhm.
issues, with high blood pressure? So maybe
Mhm.
a low sodium diet." And most of the we cover most of the standard dietary restrictions under our standard menu. So that's going to cover diabetic friendly meals, low sodium
Mhm.
meals, um,
Mhm.
low carb, heart healthy, all of those standard things. And so our menu is found on our website, our standard menu, and there's over 125 items
Wow.
menu, and they are categorized and notated as to whether or not they're low sodium, diabetic friendly, low carb,
Wow.
dairy free, gluten free, those sorts of things. But
Mhm.
even if the recipe or the menu item doesn't say low sodium, we my chefs can always make it low sodium just by making
Okay.
some substitutions. Um,
Okay.
so if it's a soup, using a reduced sodium or no salt added broth. Uh,
Okay.
so there's several ways, or making substitutions if someone's a diabetic. Instead of using uh, spaghetti, we can use zucchini noodles
Okay.
or squash noodles. Or
Mhm.
maybe if somebody's just trying to make that transition, we mix and match. So do half spaghetti, half zucchini noodles, or whole wheat noodles. Replace white rice with brown rice.
Okay.
To sweet potatoes, substitute sweet potatoes for the white potatoes. Trying to introduce more whole grains. Um,
Shauna,
Increase the protein.
do
There's
you
different ways.
do you accommodate different cultures
Yes.
like Asian and Indian food, but just on like are you able to accommodate anything like that?
We are, but I will put an asterisk next to that.
Okay.
What I have found is it's very intimidating for a chef who maybe does not have that culinary background or that cultural
Okay.
background to cook
Okay.
for someone who does belong to that culture. Um, I have talked to several people who've requested, and they'll ask me, "Do you have a chef who's from the Caribbean?"
Yeah.
And, I have to be honest and say, no, unfortunately, I do not. I mean,
Mhm.
I have some chefs who have prepared Caribbean meals before,
Mhm.
but who are not from the Caribbean.
Okay.
Same thing with Indian meals. And what I found is that that might be the hardest accommodation for us to make if we are
Okay.
particular cooking for someone who is from
Mhm.
a particular culture and the chef is not from that culture and does not have a whole lot of experience preparing meals from that culture. So I would say that is a challenge, that has
Okay.
been a challenge for us. Uh,
Mhm.
but I'm honest with people about that.
Yeah.
I do have a chef who is Mexican American, and I did have him prepare a special Latin inspired menu, but to make the dishes healthier. So
Yeah.
so
Okay.
for clients who are looking for Latin inspired meals, I do have a chef who can accommodate that. Um,
Super cool.
so I do my best, but I'm always honest with people and
Mhm.
tell them, okay, this is the situation. I do have one current client now who is from Jamaica, and I was honest with her. No, I do not have a chef who is from Jamaica or the Caribbean. I said the closest I can get you is I have a chef from Louisiana. And it's been some hit or miss, but I think we've finally gotten to the point, and the chef finally understands her palate, and her
Okay.
palate is spicy. And so
Spicy.
her
Yeah.
her request to him, and she asked him and said, "Hey, can you make me some curry chicken and a couple of other dishes?" And
Mm-hmm.
he said sure. He gave it a try, and she loved it. And so
Mm.
feedback to him was like, okay, let's not try and do anything from your standard menu anymore. What I
Mhm.
want you to do is just prepare some dishes for me that have, a Cajun or Creole origin, um, some Caribbean inspired meals, and just make sure we're using the right spices, and that's made
Yeah.
her happy.
It's good. I can see that happening. I can actually, yeah, I could see that happening. I could see how where you may not have the chef that has the experience, but what they're looking for is just a variation in like the spice. For instance, in our facility, we came up with a vegetarian slash halal menu because of the area that we're in. So we're having to cater food, towards the population of where we are. And what it ended up coming down to was our food was flavorless. And, they wanted food with flavor. So that was actually the short of the long. They're like, food back home actually does have flavor. You guys' food has no flavor.
Right.
So just switching it up and adding flavor
Spicy.
and spices without salt
Yes.
made a big difference.
Yes.
So yes, 100%. I love that you do that. So what kind of accommodations? So I'm kind of going to circle back to something you said earlier. You have a 7-page profile that has to get filled out.
Hmm.
So what kind of accommodations are you able to make? So let's say it is a senior, maybe doesn't have a caregiver, could be fresh out of the hospital, wants to use your service, but maybe they're not able to fill out the profile. Are you able to help in any way, in any accommodations with that to help get the profile filled out?
Sure, sure. So there's three ways people can sign up for our service, and I always ask
Okay.
them. First question is, are you computer savvy? They say that
Yeah.
they're not computer savvy, or they don't have a computer, or they rarely
Mm-hmm.
turn it on. Then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, then I know they can't fill out the forms electronically. So
Okay.
then there's one of two other ways. I can do everything over the telephone. So literally, I will go
Okay.
through all of the information with them over the telephone, ask them the questions on the food profile over the phone, and type it directly into the system. And then there are other
Mm-hmm.
people who just they want an in-person visit, and so at that point in time, we'll do an in-person consultation, and we'll actually go to their home and sit down with them, fill out the paperwork, ask them questions, take a look at their
Mm-hmm.
kitchen, take a look at what they already have in their pantry, in their refrigerator, in their freezer. So we will do that as well.
Is there an extra cost associated with an in-person visit?
No, there's
That's
there's
amazing.
no there's no charge for that.
That's incredible. So, um, just to circle back, a
Mhm.
patient with no caregiver could call you, or if they're not able to use a computer, if there's a number they could call, and you would make a visit to their home, and there's no extra cost for the visit. You will go through their pantry, you will go over the 7-page profile and ask those questions, fill it out, and then do you actually prep the food in their home, or you go back and prep the food and then send it? Like, what's that process? How long does it take?
Okay, so we are personal chefs. So we some companies deliver the meal, I deliver the chef. So
Oh.
we do not do meal delivery. Um, we realize and we recognize that loneliness is an epidemic in this. Well, actually, it's an epidemic period in the population, but especially with seniors. And so that's why we don't do meal delivery. We send the chef into the home so that the chef can provide companionship while the chef cooks. If that is a need. Now I have some clients that they're fine. They let the chef in. They go into their bedroom. They watch The Price is Right, or do whatever. Or if they live in a 55 plus community, they've got activities going on. They'll let the chef in, and then they'll go downstairs and play bingo, Pokino, whatever it is. But then there are other clients who really look forward to their chef's visit, and they're going to pull up a bar stool and sit there and talk with the chef the entire time. And then there are people that are somewhere in between. So the goal is to provide the companionship while we cook, which means we're not going to prepare a meal and drop it off. So after I do that initial consultation, what I am going to do, or what one of my team members will do, is we will go ahead and provide them with the name and the contact information for their chef, and help them select their menu for their first service and schedule the visit for their first service. So all that's done at that in-home consultation. And then the chef will come, and then they will have their first visit with the chef. So it's at a later date.
So if they want to set up like a rotating continuous service, how does that work?
Okay. So the other great thing about our service is I don't have long-term contracts. All I ask is that when people sign up for the service, that they
Mhm,
try it twice. So 2 visits. After 2 visits, they have a pretty good idea of whether or not the service is going to work for them.
mhm,
If they find that the service is a great fit for them, then they can use the service for as long as they like. They can cancel at any time. They
mhm,
can also customize it, make changes to it.
mhm,
So I'm always going to ask what are they using the service for? What are their needs? Or do they need
mhm,
breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Do they just need
mhm,
lunches and dinners? Most people just need help with dinners, with that
mhm,
main meal for the day. So if that's the case, depending on whether we're cooking for one person or 2 people, depending on the
mhm,
size of their appetites, some people use the service every week. Some use the service every 2 weeks, every three
mhm,
weeks. And I have some people who use the service once a month. And I have
mhm,
others who just give me a call every once in a while and say, hey, do you have a chef you can send out? I
mhm.
would say most of my clients use the service every other week.
Okay. So that's a good frequency.
Mhm.
And so what about holidays? How do you handle holidays? Like Thanksgiving's coming up.
Mhm.
How does that work?
It's funny you should ask. I was just working on a little blurb to put in our text message reminders to our clients, letting them
Mhm,
know that if they need help with their holiday meal prep, we can
mhm,
do that. Um,
mhm,
so it varies from year to year. There have been some years where I've had quite a few clients that have needed help with in particular, their Thanksgiving meal prep. I've had other years where we haven't had any requests for that at all. But yes, we are available, even if they just need help with the sides. And so one of the things that I'm doing this year, in particular with my current clients, or with anyone who needs the help, is in particular helping with their size. So in lieu of their regularly scheduled visit, so let's say their chef usually comes that on a Monday or Tuesday, and it's the
mhm,
week of Thanksgiving. Um, what I will offer to them, if they're saying, well, we're just going to cancel our service because of Thanksgiving, hey, instead of canceling your service, if you need help with your holiday meal prep, the chef can come in in lieu of your regular service, we'll prepare, 3 or 4 of the side dishes that you would want for
mhm,
your Thanksgiving meal. And then all they have to do is just do the turkey. Or if they want the whole shebang, we can do the whole shebang. It will cost a little more, but yeah, the chef can come in a couple of days before Thanksgiving. We won't work on Thanksgiving, but
sure.
the Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday before, and prepare their entire Thanksgiving meal and put it in the refrigerator for them, and then they have to do is reheat.
That's that's awesome. So how about seniors who are in the 55 and up communities? Do you do any type of like displays for groups so that your services can be seen amongst many instead of just one? And if so, how would a group sign up to have you come in and maybe to like do a meal for 15 people?
Okay, so that would be like a dinner party. So or
Mhm,
something. And we do that. They would just need to reach out to me. Just call me and say that that's what they are interested in. There are
mhm,
a few 55 plus communities around the city where either I or one of my chefs, we go in on a periodic basis. Some of them, it's one of them, it's every month. And I do a cooking demo.
Okay.
So I use their demo kitchen and I do a cooking demo for their residents. And at the same time, all the residents know about Chefs for Seniors. They know about access to our service as well.
So can you tell us how we find Chef for Seniors? So is it just chefforseniors.com? That's the website.
Yes. So if you go to chefsforseniors.com and you click on locations, and then you just look for Houston. I'm the only franchise currently operating in the Houston area. So there will be two options with my name attached to it. There will be North Houston, the Woodlands, which is my
Hmm.
northern territory. And then the other option, it'll say Pearland League City. So I have Southeast Houston, Pearland, Pasadena, League City, which is the southeast part of town. However, since
Okay.
I am currently the only franchise operating in the Houston area, I do have chefs that operate around the entire city. The only area where I currently do not have a chef is the Sugarland, Richmond, Rosenberg area. But everywhere else, I do have a chef.
Is that area like soon to come, or is there like a reason why there's not a chef available in the area, or
I just haven't
like
hired.
demand,
I haven't hired anyone or had anyone
like a demand for it?
really reach out
Mhm.
to me
Okay.
who lives in that who lives or works in that area, or who is willing to drive uh to that area. So
Ah,
that is the main situation. But that changes on a weekly basis because I never know. I get applications in from chefs, you know, who are looking for a part-time position as a personal chef, and they come across my website, and then they'll submit applications, things like that. So that could change on a dime.
okay. That's actually the area that I typically rotate in for my business setting is Sugarland, Richmond, Rosenberg area. That's why I was like,
Yeah,
so
if I get enough demand in that area,
okay.
then at that point in time, then I know I really need to actually find a chef, or I just may have to incentivize a couple of my current chefs who may live like in Pearland or
Mhm.
south side of Houston, where it's not quite as long of a drive to go to Sugarland. So if I get enough demand, then I can make accommodations for it as well.
But no Beaumont area. Um, I think that's the only one that came in my head that I feel like I'm going through the list that wasn't mentioned. So nothing in that area.
Nothing in that area right now, but once again, that's a situation where it would be the demand that would drive me to
Got it.
actually hire a chef in that area, and I would have to have demand from you know 4 or 5 people to make it worth it for me to hire a chef.
Okay, so what about a phone number to call?
Sure. So I can be reached at 832-956-1848. I can be emailed at Shauna, so that's SHONAH at chefsforseniors.com. And then, of course, the website, chefsforseniors.com. Click on Texas, go to Houston, and you'll be able to find me that way as well.
Anything else? Any parting words? Any new projects that you have coming up? Any spices that's going to be in a grocery store near you, near me, near them?
No, not getting into the spice world yet, but I'm working on the second season of my cooking show called Chef Shauna's Foodies Over 50. And
Oh,
that is going to be on, I've switched streaming networks. So that's going to be on a new streaming network called Cam 365. And so I can definitely let you know when that's going to start streaming. And
mhm.
so you can get the word out to those of you who watch or listen to your podcast.
Absolutely. I would love to have access to that link. Um, throw it in the description. So that sounds amazing. It's like what you don't know. And then all these great things just come out. And I love getting out and meeting new people because I feel like as long as you stay in your circle, you never know what's out there. And I expanded where I've gone. And so now I'm meeting wonderful people like you and others that's doing all of these incredible things. You have a cooking show for 55 and up. Like, that's amazing. And then what you're doing for the community, Chef for Seniors, that just really makes my heart sing. Any other projects, anything you want to rep, any shout outs, anything?
Now, of course, I definitely give a shout out to all of my chefs. I have a wonderful team of chefs. I have about 12 active chefs who are currently
Mm-hmm.
working with me, and of course, I could not do it without them. I'm not currently in the kitchen cooking for clients anymore, which is great because that does give me more opportunities to do other things. And I know my clients are in great hands, and I can actually focus on growing the
Mm-hmm.
business. And the other thing that I'm always doing out in the community is cooking demonstrations. The mission of Chefs for Seniors is to improve seniors' lives through food. One way to do it is through what we're doing in seniors' homes, but not everybody can afford my service because it is private pay, or not everyone needs the service. But they do want to know if they're still cooking. They do want to know, okay, how do I prepare healthy meals, or how do I go from being used to cooking for a family of 4 or 5 to just 2 people or just one person as a single? How do I make those tweaks and changes myself? And so the cooking demonstrations are a way for me to do that. So I'm all around town doing the cooking demonstrations.
Well, we will look for you at a kitchen near us. I'm hoping to be able to run into you at a few of our homes. We have the medical resorts, and it is a spa-like environment. I've talked to you a little bit about it. And so I know that our residents would be thrilled to have a cooking demonstration from you at the facility. So I look forward to getting that set up with you and then filming it so that everyone can see you in action and I can, show the great people. And then as soon as your season 2 comes out, send me that link so I can post it and get it out there so we can support you. I think that's amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for agreeing to do this. We are just getting started. And so I appreciate everybody for taking time out of their day to even come and support us. We want to make sure that caregivers are equipped with every resource that is available to them. Caregivers, the senior community, and then those that are surrounding, helping the seniors. It is important for every single person to know what's out there. And so I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Love to have you on the show again. Hopefully next time I have you on the show, we can do a live in front of hundreds of millions of people. I am claiming that. So,
That would be
yes,
great. I'm in
yes.
for
So
it.
I appreciate you and thank you so much for your time. We thank you again for tuning in to OMG I'm a Caregiver, and we will see you next time. Peace.
Bye.